Dual clutch automatic, three words that are synonymous with peak performance and technology. It's the kind of gearbox that can totally elevate your driving experience, but as we have seen in the past, it's not without its gremlins, and it's mostly to do with long-term reliability. Tata Motors, however, seems to have taken care of that concern with their new dual clutch automatic gearbox in the Altroz. The brand, in fact, has been extremely vocal about how it has developed and tuned their first ever DCT specifically for the Indian market and the challenges it can throw in the long run. Things like extreme bumper-to-bumper traffic, dusty roads and hot weather conditions. The DCT in the Altroz is probably as tailor-made as it can be, so that's half the battle won already, right? Well, let's not forget the whole point of this new gearbox, which is to deliver a new level of smoothness and refinement to the whole driving experience of any Tata model yet. And that last bit is very important, so let's see if the Altroz can deliver on that count. My name is Sagar and you're watching CarWale. Let's quickly take a look at the exterior design before we get to the gearbox and how it performs in the real world. Now, except for this new shade of dark blue and an extremely tiny DCA badge at the rear, nothing has changed on the Altroz. It's a well-proportioned family hatch with lots of design quirks all around. The unusually low belt line, for instance, not only adds to the idiosyncrasies but also somewhat helps in visibility from inside. Then you have these wide 90-degree opening doors that you also get in the Punch. And let's not forget the other standout elements like the sharply raked tailgate and the black surrounds for the tail lights. Getting inside the Altroz is a very easy task, and that's mainly because of how wide these doors open and how high up the seating is. Now, in terms of actual seat comfort, this rear bench, it's very large and supportive. And for added comfort, you also get a rear armrest, rear AC vents and a 12-volt socket. And in terms of overall space, now I'm 5'8" and this front seat is set to my driving position. And as you can see, there's more than enough legroom and headroom. And I also like how near flat this floor is, and how much it adds to the overall sense of space. So all in all, there's very little to nitpick here. As for the features, the Altroz DCA doesn't get anything over and above the manual versions, and in the overall scheme of things, this top spec version is decently equipped. You get useful features like sliding front armrest, a large 15-liter cooled glove box, height adjustment for driver's seat, rear AC vents, phone mirroring, an 8-speaker audio system, automatic headlamps and wipers, and lastly, cruise control. Now, if we are to nitpick, split folding rear seats and perhaps better visuals for the rear camera would have made the Altroz a lot easier to live with. Also, quality and fit and finish is good for the most part, but we couldn't help but notice unevenness in the panel gaps, especially lower down in the cabin. As for safety, the Altroz scores very high. Well, literally, it's got a 5-star rating from Global NCAP for adult occupant protection. There's dual front airbags, height adjustable front seat belts, ISOFIX anchor points and ABS with EBD. Now this is where things get interesting. So you have this quick shifting high-tech gearbox that has been paired to a naturally aspirated 3-cylinder petrol engine, which, let's be honest, doesn't make a whole lot of horsepower and torque. It would have made more sense to pair it with the turbo petrol Altroz, right? You know what, the enthusiast in me would have agreed to that, but it's been a while since we are testing this car, and to be honest, the more I'm driving it, the more I'm coming to terms with this drivetrain and what it's supposed to do. The Altroz DCA works absolutely fine as a daily driver. The 6-speed dual clutch automatic is refined, it goes through the gears with a level of smoothness that we haven't seen in any Tata vehicle yet, and it brings out the best of that naturally aspirated 1.2-litre engine. But, and there is a big but, well, things get a bit dull as soon as you start pushing this drivetrain. I mean, the gear shifts at high RPM, they are nowhere as seamless as they are, say, when you would be cruising along at leisurely pace. Then there's this naturally aspirated engine. I mean, it's a very slow revving engine and you can actually feel it holding back the dual clutch automatic because it takes its own sweet time to go through the revs. Okay, so the lack of grunt from this engine is pretty clear when tested against the clock. I mean, we have just recorded a 0 to 60 time of 8 seconds and 0 to 100 in 18.59 seconds. Now, it wouldn't be fair to compare these numbers with say the i20 DCT or the Polo with the torque converter, but even you have to admit that these are pretty mediocre figures. Overtaking requires a lot of planning because even though the gear shifts itself are very quick, the throttle response is dull and the build-up in speed is relaxed at best. The Altroz DCA is available in the top 4 variants XM+, XT, XZ and XZ+. In terms of prices, it's around Rs 1 lakh more than the manual for every variant. For that extra 1 lakh rupees, you're getting a DCT which is claimed to have been developed specifically for extreme driving conditions. Sure, it's not the most responsive unit and it's definitely not paired to an exciting engine, but if you can manage to curb your enthusiasm and look at it as a regular automatic hatchback, the Altroz might just make a lot of sense. It's adequately refined and in terms of driving smoothness, it actually does better than a lot of mass market DCTs that we have experienced. Hopefully, there will be a far more exciting proposition with this DCT in the near future, perhaps with a turbo petrol engine. That's it from us for now. Please like and share this video and do subscribe to our channel if you like what you see.